Welcome, friends and neighbors, to the Splash Live on Civic Center TV. I'm Tyler Kieft. Thank you very much for joining us today as we kick off another weekend, a new month in Greater West Bloomfield. Let's get into what's making news and things you need to know across all four of our communities today. We'll start off in Keagle Harbor, where the city is seeking applicants for their open city council position. Letters of intent and applications must be filled out and delivered to City Hall. There's a couple different ways you can do that. One is by email or by submitting those letters of intent and applications in person. If you are to do so either way, by email or in person, it's got to be done by 4 p.m. on Wednesday, June 10th. This open city council seat is as a result of the resignation of Mayor Pro Tem Robert Kalman, who announced that he will be resigning through a letter sent to City Council prior to their May City Council meeting. That resignation yet to be accepted by the City Council. However, Mayor Pro Tem Kalman is moving out of the city of Keagle Harbor. That is the reason why he will no longer be eligible to serve on the City Council and has resigned. So an open seat on the Keagle Harbor City Council, a great way to get involved if you want to help to shape the present and the future of the heart of the lakes. One more time, letters of intent need to be either emailed or delivered to City Hall along with an application to join the City Council by Wednesday, June 10th at 4 p.m. You can get more information on these applications and letters of intent on KeagleHarbor.org. Just down the road, still in the city of Keagle Harbor, Harbor Steakhouse is set to host a roundtable discussion for the community to voice their opinions on the future of Keagle Harbor. That will be happening on Monday, June 15th from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. You can find more information on this by either scanning the QR code at the bottom of this flyer that's on your screen as we speak right now on civiccentertv.com, or a couple other ways. Visit harborsteakhouse.net. Again, that's harborsteakhouse.net, or visit their Facebook page that is linked on their website as well. They'll give you all that more information. Once again, mark your calendars. That discussion open to the public, free to attend, Monday, June 15th from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Construction is underway on West Bloomfield Parks' brand new Connect Community Center, the state-of-the-art, huge facility going up at the Civic Center complex in West Bloomfield, well underway. Demolition of the Recreation Activity Center is complete, and portions of the Civic Center complex parking lot, you will already see as you do on your screen, are marked off, fenced, and blocked away as that demolition and the construction process continues. Clearing the site and getting ready to put up the building blocks of that brand new community center. Jake Schaff from our team had the latest story and with more information on the process, where they're at, where they're going, things you need to know. You can find that on demand on civiccentertv.com. The West Bloomfield Police Department also celebrating the retirements of Detective Tim Lillard and Officer Fouad Pesikov. My apologies. Detective Lillard began his career with the police department as a cadet in 2003, as did Officer Pesikov in 1996. You can learn more about them and offer your congratulations on Facebook at West Bloomfield PD. Congratulations also in order for the West Bloomfield High School class of 2026. Just over 350 students became alumni last week in a ceremony at Pine Knob Music Theater. The class of 2026, quite remarkable in their accomplishments in the classroom, on the athletic fields, and courts, as well as in their club activities. In addition, very bright futures for this class, with students amassing over $14 million in scholarships as well. You can watch their full commencement ceremony on demand on civiccentertv.com/WBHS26, and also find their honors convocation ceremony on demand as well, civiccentertv.com. You can find clips of this and so much more now that Civic Center TV is on X and on TikTok. Easy way to follow us is to scan that QR code on your screen. That'll take you to links to both our X and our TikTok pages. Here's what you're going to find: all the short clips from today's episode, other segments of the Splash Live, and our live programming across the greater West Bloomfield community. That's what you're going to find featured on TikTok. You'll also find that on our X page, formerly known as Twitter as well, plus some of our stories in full length and in high definition as well. Both of those you can follow on those pages at Civic Center TV each and every day. See all those clips and follow us as well on our website on civiccentertv.com. Orchard Lake Road looks a lot fuller between Lone Pine and Green Road as renovations at Fire Station Number 1 hit a major milestone. Construction on the project has been well underway since late 2025, bringing one of the oldest public safety facilities in the community into the modern age. Civic Center TV's Jake Schaff is live in West Bloomfield Township with more information. Jake, thanks for joining us.
Hey, Tyler, glad to be with you today. It is a beautiful day here in Greater West Bloomfield. June is here. Summer is just around the corner. Everyone's having a great time. And yes, I am here at West Bloomfield Fire Station Number 1, where, as you can see behind me, Tyler, there is a lot of construction taking place right now. And quite a bit has changed in the many months since this construction project first went underway. You remember this started back in December of last year, and already we're getting close to the 6-month mark. So much has changed within that time period. You can see some additional photos right now on Civic Center TV, but we've got a strong foundation for the building up right now. We have a roof. We've got so many fundamental details in place, and everything is looking very, very great so far, and everything is looking to be on track before the building is set to open in the winter of this year, Tyler.
Yeah, and it's coming along with a lot of amenities, too, that are necessary for our local fire departments today, including a full renovation of the indoor facilities. Jake, we've been inside Fire Station Number 1 numerous times in the past, most notably for their annual fire department open house in the fall. You could tell by being in there that it was still useful for the purposes of a fire department in 2025 and in 2026, but maybe not the most conducive to those operations. These changes definitely going to be beneficial to our firefighters and our EMS professionals.
I couldn't agree more. Yes, the old Fire Station Number 1 was definitely very useful, maybe a little bit cramped, at least compared to some of the other fire stations that are around Greater West Bloomfield. A few more that are bigger or that are up with the times a bit more closely. This building is getting a much needed overhaul and a much needed upgrade. So many great things are going to be coming into place, all useful to help Greater West Bloomfield on a day-to-day basis. It's always wonderful to see.
So Jake, I'm going to have our team at Master Control put you back up full screen here in a moment and have you step out of the frame so people can kind of see a little bit behind you there as we describe a little bit of what's going on, because these facilities have changed. It looks kind of the same in some ways from the outside looking in, but if we can go back, Calvin, to that shot of Jake and have you walk out of the frame, you can see some of those doors on the back behind the construction vehicle there. They seem to be higher up than they were before and a little bit wider. That's in particular to make room for larger vehicles that have become part of the fleet today for the West Bloomfield Fire Department. The apparatus bays were too short, a little bit too narrow before for some of the larger trucks. Now those bays are going to be taller, they're going to be wider, they're going to have doors that are much more conducive to quick entry and exit of the building during a variety of different scenarios for the West Bloomfield Fire Department. And Jake, that's a huge part of it, as well as the facilities being for a more diverse personnel department as well. We know that nowadays the West Bloomfield Fire Department very much has a large population of women working for their team as firefighters, as paramedics. They're out and about every single day. And one thing that Fire Station 1, much like their older fire stations previously renovated, before the renovations or before the rebuilds, they didn't have the proper facilities for men and for women. Now they will.
That's right, and I've seen more and more female firefighters out within Greater West Bloomfield, even at a lot of the events that we've covered throughout the past few years. It's definitely, like I said, they're growing with the times and they are adapting more to the current landscape that's taking place within Greater West Bloomfield and throughout the United States. So it's always great to see, and I mean, it's just going to be a few short months before this building is set to be open to the public. I cannot wait to see it. I'm sure you can't wait to see it, and the community can't wait either.
And a great part of it, too, is there's going to be public amenities to this building, as well as amenities specifically for our firefighters and our EMS professionals as well. Public restrooms are part of this proposal, as well as a plaza commemorating the heroic work of firefighters on September 11th, 2001. And then on top of that, a big training facility. It wasn't in your shot, Jake, but as you're driving down Orchard Lake Road toward Lone Pine, if you look out of your vehicle safely at a red light, or as you're stopped in maybe rush hour traffic near the end of the day heading toward that bottleneck at Pontiac Trail, you'll see a large tower going up on the far right side of the building closer to the West Bloomfield High School property. That's going to be a training tower too. So on top of facilities for men and women, updated technology that will help make their ingress and egress a lot more safe and a lot more efficient. There's going to be spaces there also for our firefighters, our paramedics, and more to undergo the training that keeps this fire department one of the best rated in all of Michigan.
That's right. When they said that this was going to be a fire station for everybody, they truly meant it. This is going to be protecting everybody. There's resources for everybody. And it's just showing that this fire department is going above and beyond. They're taking those extra steps to truly keep the greater West Bloomfield community safe on a day-to-day basis.
It's going to be a fantastic facility. Truly is going to bring that fire station into the 21st century. It'll then be most, if not all, of the fire stations in the West Bloomfield Fire Department, some of the most premier facilities in public safety in all of Oakland County, a shining example of the community's commitment to public safety and to our first responders. Jake, thank you for that report and that update.
Thank you, Tyler.
Appreciate you, Jake. Thanks for joining us out there on Orchard Lake Road. More progress updates and emergency information are available on Facebook at WB Fire Department. That includes updates on Fire Station Number 1, on some of their many calls throughout greater West Bloomfield, both West Bloomfield proper as well as the Tri-Cities, and through their Oakway Collective, also providing support to other communities outside of the greater West Bloomfield area as they do, and they get support when they're busy and they need some additional help from other local departments. The city of Sylvan Lake is warning residents and neighbors of ongoing attempts to steal your information and your hard-earned money. Recently, Sylvan residents have fallen victim to scammers claiming to be affiliated with anything from banks to local government and are out upwards of $10,000 from a couple of those hits. Joining us with more information and details on how you can protect your information and your money is Sylvan Lake Police Chief Corey O'Donohue. Chief, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to have you on to talk about this. Unfortunate circumstances, it's serious circumstances, but people in Sylvan Lake and surrounding communities need to know what's going on because this particular scam, not something unfamiliar from what we've seen before, but starting to get some legs here in our local area. Give us the latest of what has sort of been happening to the people in Sylvan Lake that have fallen victim to this, and what were the steps that led to that?
We actually had two recently, but we have had these pop up from time to time. And one of them was a text message link that a resident got sent, and it said there's been some fraud. Click on this link, and unfortunately, the resident clicked on it and then went down a rabbit hole where they ended up going to their bank and turning over a lot of money. The other call was just an unsolicited phone call. Someone calling saying there's been fraud on their account, and if they didn't act immediately, that they would have these charges. And again, this person ended up, basically contacting their bank themselves and turning the money over. So in both circumstances, those residents are out; they're not getting their money back, unfortunately.
And that's what's really important about this is oftentimes when the money is officially transferred over in these scenarios, it can be really tough, if not impossible, to recover it. That's why the tactics and some of the initial communications are so important for residents to understand. In this case, you mentioned that in these cases, they had clicked on the link, so maybe a phishing scam or a text messaging scam, either of those both being very common in 2026. But in other cases similar to this, Chief, there's been phone calls, there may be emails, there may be other contacts that can get quite aggressive. What should residents be looking out for or listening for on a phone call and an email and a text message that may suggest this might not be legitimate?
Well, there's a number of clues, but the biggest one is anytime you get anything unsolicited, whether it's a text message or anything, just delete it. No legitimate organization is going to text you or call you and demand immediate payment. The government won't do that. Your credit cards won't do that. So if you get them, just delete them. The other thing to really be aware of is if they are pressuring you to act immediately. That's probably the biggest clue. They don't want you to stop and think. They want you to jump right into it. And these scammers are very, very good at manipulating people. After the fact, the person who's been victimized always feels dumb when they look back and they think, "Well, how did I fall for that?" But that kind of really underestimates just how good these scammers are at like identifying people and kind of manipulating them through the process. So, I think the biggest thing is it unsolicited? Is it from like a non-traditional means that your bank or a government will send you a letter or something? They're not going to just do that, and they're not going to put that kind of pressure on you. So there's a lot of pressure to act immediately. That's the big clue.
And the details of that are really important too, Chief, because much like with local governments, in the case of the city of Sylvan Lake or others in our community, Sheriff's Department, Clerk's Department, at Oakland County, the state of Michigan, and so on and so forth, banking institutions, financial institutions, even some retailers, there's similarities in what they will and will not ask for if there is an incident or something they're trying to resolve. In the case of these scams, what is some of that information that's being demanded or is being asked of our residents that are being targeted by these scams that pretty universally are not going to be something that a legitimate entity would request?
Well, what they end up doing is they'll get you to send money via gift cards or even in Bitcoin, and no one no legitimate organization wants your money in that way. Sometimes it's you go to the bank and you just start sending them money. Anytime they'll tell if they are encouraging you to keep it secret or don't tell anyone. That again is another thing. Don't ever do that. Like the best thing to do is just take a deep breath, wait, and then talk to somebody else about this. Don't just act thinking you're under the pressure to act.
And from your side of things in law enforcement, you mentioned earlier on that the unfortunate part of this is most people figure out they've been scammed after the fact, and that is, in most cases, too late for anything to be done to help them to recover the funds. Maybe the information can be helpful in an investigation. From the law enforcement perspective, when someone does believe this may be a scam and they report it to the Sylvan Lake Police Department or another law enforcement entity, what do your organizations then do to perhaps put in motion the possibility of catching these individuals or these groups that are making these scams happen?
These are usually international crime organizations, and local departments are powerless to do anything about that, to be honest. Once the money's transferred to Bitcoin or sent through gift cards, it's not coming back. So there is really not much we can do. One thing is, if you are the victim of a scam, you're going to be targeted again. So it's important to report it. So then there's things you can do with your credit card and your institution. So they put up extra steps, extra protections. But for most of these cases, there's nothing that we can do. We still want them reported. It's important so we can, raise awareness is the biggest thing. And that's what we really want. We want people to know. And I think it's also important. We do have residents from time to time will come in and they'll show us a message they got and just ask us, "Hey, is this a scam?" We're here. We have a 24/7 operation. You can come in anytime or call us, say that I've got this weird call or this weird text. What should I do? And we'd be happy to come out and help look at it.
Yeah, and it's important too because you can also get those additional resources and that partnership between public safety departments, between law enforcement locally, regionally, statewide, federally, that can help to piece some of that information together, and maybe your scenario, maybe your experience can help those entities at a larger level globally. bring closer to getting these scammers in custody and these scams altogether. Chief Corey O'Donoghue is with us from the Sylvan Lake Police Department, as some residents have recently been targeted by sophisticated scammers using technology to pressure residents into sending them money and robbing them of their hard-earned cash and possibly putting them in a position to have their personal information stolen as well. Chief, what resources or preventative strategies may be available to residents at our local level here in Sylvan Lake and beyond that may help them prevent themselves from being scammed or put them in a better position to defend themselves if and when they are targeted?
Well, the biggest thing is awareness, being aware of how these scams work and what they're doing. Once you know, like, certain things you just never do. Don't click on unsolicited links. Don't answer unsolicited text messages. Be very leery of phone calls you get from people telling you to act immediately. The other thing is keep your devices updated. All these devices have protections built into them, but they've got to be updated. Beyond that, just have some people you are confident with that you can contact if you're concerned. And the final thing is just trust your instincts. If something feels off, it probably is, and don't keep going further down that rabbit hole.
And some of the best advice that we've had from the Better Business Bureau and other law enforcement also that have faced this issue and helped residents of Sylvan Lake and nearby communities battle these scam attempts is the worst case scenario for you is you give up your information and lose all that. The best case scenario can often be you take those extra steps. It's a little bit more time. It maybe is a light inconvenience for a couple of minutes for our local police departments, for retailers, for your bank to hang up the phone, to delete the email, to go to their contacts directly and see if this is a legitimate attempt at contacting you. That is better than falling victim and taking the expedient route, which can often end up, like Chief had said, resulting in you losing your money, having your information stolen, and perhaps not having any possible course of action to mitigate that after the fact. Chief Corey O'Donoghue from the Sylvan Lake Police Department with us today, warning residents in Sylvan and beyond of ongoing scam attempts that have affected two of our residents here in the prettiest little city in Michigan. Anything else that we should be aware of at this time related to these scams or others that may be developing in the future?
No, I think we covered it. I think, like I said, I don't want, it's kind of insulting to say common sense because everyone has common sense, but just be aware of just how talented these scammers are at manipulating people. So talk to your loved ones, talk to you, especially elderly people who tend to get targeted more on how these things work so they can protect themselves.
And spread this information too as well. That helps everybody. The information is the power in this for our residents here in Sylvan Lake. Chief O'Donoghue, thank you so much for your time today.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
Appreciate it and appreciate your information as well. If you believe that you have been targeted by one of these scams or something similar, call the Sylvan Lake Police Department, 248-682-2104. That's 248-682-2104. Another great suggestion to get information like this directly to you from the city of Sylvan Lake. Sign up for their news bite on their website on sylvanlake.org. That's how we became aware of this scam happening in Sylvan Lake, affecting Sylvan Lake residents. To make contact with Chief O'Donoghue to have this conversation. It's a great way to stay updated on all the good things that are happening in the community, but the bad things as well, like scam attempts that could help you prevent yourself from falling victim to these often sophisticated, often technology-heavy attempts on stealing your information and your money and targeting your neighbors as well. It's one of the biggest gatherings of the summer, and it could make you a whole lot healthier. The Greater West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce is set to host its annual Health and Wellness Fair on Tuesday, June 16th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., but with a special twist. It's at a brand new location. Chamber Executive Director Suzanne Levine spoke to our team's Jake Schaff with all the healthy details for the big day.
Suzanne, thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, thank you for having me. I barely feel old enough to have a 17th annual health fair.
I mean, it just shows how much of an impact it's had over the community to have lasted this long. So jumping into it, what can residents expect when they attend the 17th annual Greater West Bloomfield Health and Wellness Fair?
I think people can expect the same great quality of different vendors, medical and health professionals in the field that can offer all kinds of options to them that perhaps they hadn't thought about, because I think it's really important to be an advocate for your own health. So that's why this health fair is so important.
It is, and having covered this event the last couple of years, it's amazing to see just how many resources are available here in the community and how ready they are to help everyone here. Now, as we mentioned, the fair is going to be moving over to Orchard Mall for this year. Why the change, and why was Orchard Mall selected for this year's event?
I think Orchard Mall is a perfect venue for this kind of event. Not only is it a great opportunity to explore the businesses there, but there's going to be a lot more room for people to, kind of linger at different tables. And I'm really excited that they're participating in this event. And I love the fact that we try to mix things up whenever we can to try to give it a fresh new feel.
Fair enough, and that's great. I mean, Orchard Mall is a very, very great location. They just held the Black Expo just a few months ago, so yeah, they are definitely up for the task. And how do you believe the new venue will enhance the overall experience for both the vendors and the attendees?
I think it's a great experience because people, even in the businesses, will come out and, explore some of the options, some of the health and wellness options. And I think people, as I said, there's a couple places to eat. So they can grab something at Shangri-La or at the Jagged Fork or even at Vitality Bowl. And so I think it's a really great opportunity to kind of show people not only all the different great health and wellness options, but all the great businesses that maybe they forgot that, exist in West Bloomfield. And Orchard Mall is certainly one of our beautiful jewels here.
It's casting an even wider net, showcasing even more of the amazing businesses throughout Greater West Bloomfield. Now, with this being the 17th annual event for the Health and Wellness Fair, are there any new features, vendors, or initiatives that are being introduced this year?
Well, we're really trying to explore different options and different businesses that have joined our chamber. So we're really excited about it. I think going forward, we're going to try to have little maybe mini sessions where people can sit down and listen to a talk for 10 to 15 minutes because we know everyone's very busy. But yeah, we're really trying to mix things up and offer different businesses, different health and wealth. Wealth, of course, different health and wellness options to people that they might not have thought about. And we know that longevity and being proactive with your health is probably the main goal of what we should be focusing on today in our health, conversations.
That's right. Very important topic, and very great that we have these resources available for everybody at a moment's notice. And how important is it truly to provide residents with direct access to local health and wellness resources, especially in an environment like this one?
Well, I think the more you know, the better armed you are. I think it's really very important when you go in to see a doctor or any wellness professional. I think the more questions you have, the more research you do. I mean, of course, we know that a little knowledge can be a dangerous thing, but I do believe that the more options you have at your disposal, the better you will be to make really important decisions about your future health and that of your families too. I cannot stress it enough. I think people really sometimes just, rely on ads on TV, which is not a good way to get your health and wellness information.
Yeah, I don't imagine a lot of those ads, especially if that's the only place you're going to get your medical information. I don't see that being very beneficial in the long term. It's much better to have this direct communication with the health professionals themselves. For those just joining us on the Splash Live, I'm talking with Suzanne Levine, the Executive Director of the Greater West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce, who's giving us a preview of this year's Health and Wellness Fair, which is going to be taking place on Tuesday, June 16th, at Orchard Mall alongside Orchard Lake Road. Now, Suzanne, how does the Chamber work to ensure that this event really remains relevant to the community's changing health and wellness needs?
But we know that we have a very dynamic community, a very diverse community with all different health needs. And we know that we have a very large senior population. So, of course, we will be addressing a lot of their concerns. But I think that, when you start looking and reading and doing research, everything right now points to, being proactive with your health, longevity, anti-aging, information, how do we stay healthy? How do we avoid surgery? How do we avoid going to the ER? Maybe we should look at urgent care options. There's so many different things that people really need to consider when they look at their overall health. And that's why it's so great that we have such a diverse group of health and wellness professionals so they can get all this information, sit down with their families and discuss them and see what will work best for them.
That's right. And we want this event to really kickstart those very important conversations that every family should be having. Now, it's amazing to see this event take place every single year, but partnerships and sponsors, those truly do help to make this event as successful as it is. Could you talk a little bit more about the partnerships and sponsors in play to help this event?
We're so fortunate because, of course, Civic Center TV is always a great sponsor of this event in West Bloomfield Township. It's so great when we can coordinate with the township because we know that the businesses in the township really need to, collaborate and work together for the success of our community. We also have Nina LePayton with Direct Hearing, who's been a great sponsor of this event. And we know that hearing is probably, along with sight, is probably the two most important things that you really should not ignore. If you can't hear what's going on, then you are missing an entire world. So she's a great sponsor of this event. And so is our big sponsor, Henry Ford West Bloomfield Hospital. We love partnering with them, but we have some other partners that are starting to come forward, and you'll start to see them as we send out the flyer. And we're very grateful to everyone that, helps sponsor this event because it's really important for the community to see their options and to see who is supporting our community and our businesses.
We want to see more and more of these businesses joining this incredible event as it continues to grow. It's already grown so much, but it's going to continue to grow. And that's what I want to go into next. I got a couple more questions for you, Suzanne. What are your long-term goals for the future growth and impact of the Health and Wellness Fair in Greater West Bloomfield?
Well, I'd like to see, more information about AI and health and see, what the pitfalls are and how people, yes, it can be a great resource, but it also can be a great opportunity for some danger. So I'd like to see that going forward. I'd like to see more interactive medical and health and wellness, sort of focus where the people, more screenings and more ways like with, mammograms and colonoscopies. Obviously, we can't do it there, but, giving people more information about all these really important screenings that can determine their long-term health. And I neglected to mention West Bloomfield Parks and Rec is also a very big sponsor of this event, and we're very appreciative that we can work with them side by side to help our community.
So many people coming out to help this incredible event, and the stage is set for June 16th. Suzanne, where can people go to gain a little bit more information about this year's Health and Wellness Fair and where they can go if they want to help out?
They can go to westbloomfieldchamber.com. We have the information there. It's free to the public. There is a charge to be a vendor, but we hope the whole entire community and people that are outside of our community, because we know that people do come to West Bloomfield for a lot of resources, whether it's medical, whether it's restaurants, whether it's shopping. So we're hoping that this event attracts people outside of our community as well. They can call me at 248-626-3636. Or they can email me at wbloomfieldchamber@gmail.com. And I'm always happy to promote not only our chamber, our community, but all of our events. And we have a lot of really great upcoming events, and we're always so grateful for everything that Civic Center TV does to promote them, because I think it's a really important, community service that you provide.
And we want to thank you as well for helping to put a lot of these events together. You are a big driving force in that, Suzanne. Thank you so much for joining us today here on the program.
Thank you again.
That's the great thing about an event like this is that you can go there, you can learn so much about different strategies to improve your health, meet some of the people doing business right here in Greater West Bloomfield that can help you along that journey. And then inside the Orchard Mall, so much fun to be had when you get outside of the health and wellness fair, a little more on the wellness side, as you can enjoy some recreation around West Bloomfield's very own enclosed mall. More information is available on the West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce's website, westbloomfieldchamber.com, or follow the Greater West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce on Facebook at West Bloomfield CC. Later this month, a chance to decorate your home and challenge your brain in the process at the all-new West Bloomfield Fine Art Show. Since 1979, Kate Jones has been the president and the chief designer behind Kate On Enterprises, specializing in creating beautiful art that you can play with as well. Let's bring in Kate and talk about it even more and preview her upcoming appearance at the inaugural West Bloomfield Fine Art Show. Kate, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Good morning.
Glad to have you on to talk about this really interesting operation you've got running. You're creating art that's fantastic to display in the home, but also is something people can interact with, can play with, and can challenge their brains. Where did the idea from this come from?
Well, puzzles have been in the human race forever and ever. Yeah. All kinds of, everything is a puzzle that we try to figure out. But as far as for me to make these particular attractive puzzles, it came from something when I was 4 years old. I'm trying to make this very short. At the age of 4, I had chicken pox and I had to stay in bed. And my aunt brought me a puzzle, a set of tiles, wooden pieces, triangles and diamonds or whatnot, to play with. She found it somewhere in a German toy store. So I spent day after day, hours and hours, playing with these beautiful designs. And each time I made a new design, I'd say, hey, look at this. And it was just a thrill. And I'm 4 years old, remember, this is a very long time ago. So say 30 years later, I became a graphic artist and a dance teacher. So that is a side story. But at that point, I decided that I had read a book by Arthur C. Clarke, which was called Imperial Earth, a science fiction book. And in it, he described a set of puzzle pieces. There were 12 of them, each is a different shape, and you're supposed to be able to put it together and build a rectangle with them. Well, I was totally enthralled. And I made myself my paper cutouts for the pieces, and I worked on it. And at that point, it became something that somehow gradually changed my life. It turned me into the direction of designing geometric puzzles. And that was because when the first time I made a set of these and hoped to sell it to a store that they would like to sell them, the lady said, well, we don't know how to explain this. We don't know anything about it. She said, but she bought a few and eventually she did sell them. But she said, we can't do anything with just one product. If you had a product line, we might make a display of it. So I thought, product line, I have to make more designs. I have to find more puzzles.
And for almost 50 years since, that's been exactly what you've been able to do. You've been able to bridge the gaps between visual art, entertainment, and games all in one. How do you find that when people see your art, and certainly after they've bought it, that makes that connection between your pieces and themselves a little bit stronger?
Yes, I think we became friends, really, that they remember that I have a display which has the one that you showed before, the picture of my booth. I go to art shows and I have a wall full of that's right, a wall full of different designs. You see, they're all geometric, they're all colorful, all different shapes. And each of them has a booklet that I researched to see what all can you do with it. If you're a child, you will do certain sections in it. If you're an advanced mathematician, you will explore some of the math background that creates these shapes. So that has become my way of life. And now it's 47 years later. In 47 years, I've been making over 250 or more different designs, different products. I'll show you one here.
Sure, absolutely.
Now, you can't really see, okay, you can't really see all the individual pieces, you kind of, but this could be rearranged in thousands of different patterns.
Wow.
I put it together so all the red ones would be on one side and the orange ones on the other. But it could be done so that no two of the same color are together, or make it look symmetrical. I mean, it becomes a work of art just by the way you rearrange things.
And the work of art too, that not only you're designing, but people can, I guess in the case of that particular puzzle and others, redesign themselves as well. How do you find that that makes these pieces more special for your customers?
Well, the customers are happy. They go home and they play with it. And now I start meeting people who come back to me when they see us at a show and they say, I had this as a child and I still have it and I still enjoy it. You know, that's music to my ears, because we create something that should last forever. It's not something you do once, like a little puzzle in a newspaper and you do it and throw it away. No, these are treasures that you have, and the whole family enjoys doing it. One of my specialties is that even if it's a puzzle, here's another one, a different design here. You can see it's a totally different design. Now this has symmetry. So this is just one of the many different pretty patterns you can create. And if it's this way, symmetrical and so forth. This one happens to be something that you can give to a 4-year-old. I was 4 when I started, but it can have advanced things to do for a PhD in math. It'll ask him certain questions. Can this be done? Is this possible? And so then they can try to find the answer. I usually publish these in my newsletters. Now with so many different things, people create their own, as you said. This is what is so important for a human being to sense that they have some sort of empowerment.
Definitely.
They have the skill, they have the ability. The fact that the lady comes back to me and says, I had this when I was 5 years old and I still have it and it's 30 years later, you know, it's a thrill. And she still likes it, and she still has people who come to the house and play with it. One of the things that's unique with the way I run my business is that if I publish it, when I release it, it stays out there forever. I do not discontinue and throw them away and say, enough of that. No, each one is a treasure. Each one is a symbol of the universe, of what it has and all the various things you can do with it. And one of the things that we offer is that if you ever lose a piece, which could happen, the dog could carry it up, who knows?
Of course.
You can buy replacement parts only at a nominal cost.
Wow.
You can get replacements. You just send me a picture of your set and we'll see what's missing, and you can get that piece replaced. So you never have to get rid of it or throw it away or not use it because it's not complete.
Kate Jones is with us on the Splash Live. You'll also see Kate and her team at the brand new West Bloomfield Fine Art Show happening on Saturday, June 20th and Sunday, June 21st at West Bloomfield High School. A brand new addition to our summer art showcases from Hotworks that of course includes the award-winning Orchard Lake Fine Art Show. Now expanding with a different art show, similar feel, different day, different price ranges, and different interactions with a bunch of artists. You'll see some at both and some at just one. That'll be happening Saturday and Sunday, June 20th and 21st. Kate, so much of what makes the art show experience so special for people is they find these works that they just are stunned by. They want to be part of their home. They want to buy that as a gift for someone that they love, that they know it's going to be within their taste. But so much of the experience is interacting with the art in person on that day and interacting with the artists. What typically is the dynamic when people come to your booth? Because your art is intended to be interacted with, so it's somewhat of a different dynamic than you'd get with a standalone piece at somebody else's booth.
Well, I have several out on the table for them to try out. Depends on which one I suggest to them. If it's a young child, I suggest one. If it's somebody who wants a difficult one, I can offer them that one. And then they get to play and they get a real physical, mental experience of it. So, which is why they would like to have it. The arrangements that I make, they get to try them right there. And then they come back the next time and then the next time, because by then our goodies are part of their family. And so they look for me again. That's a very nice thing to have happen.
And something fun, too, that can kind of break away from the experience of going up to a booth, seeing a bunch of different works of art, maybe asking a few questions, and then either buying or moving on. Here you can actually interact, you can kind of learn, you can see a little bit about how the process is made, and then make that process yourself makes that experience, I'd imagine, so much more special. She'll be at the West Bloomfield Fine Art Show Saturday, June 20th from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Sunday, June 21st. Sunday will be 10 to 5. Saturday, the 20th, will be from 10 a.m. until 6 p.m. You get that extra hour with Kate and all of the artists at the West Bloomfield Fine Art Show. Kate, for you as an artist as well as a creative that loves to interact with the people and interact with the art as well as the mathematics of it all, what is the art show experience like for you to come into a community like West Bloomfield that appreciates art on a whole different level?
I love talking to the people and they ask questions and I can answer them. I do not sell to stores. The stores no longer deal with this. So they don't have to learn how to explain, how do you put this piece together? How do you put that piece together? I love talking with people when they ask questions because I know what it feels like to have a puzzle that you're trying to work out. You're trying to identify, you're trying to define, why is it, here's one that's one of my newest ones, just for the moment. Look at the design in that. This one is based on something in mathematics called the golden ratio. And it makes a beautiful symmetry designs with the pieces. Thousands of ways, millions of ways to come up with different designs with it. And people love that first experience when they first succeed in making it. And I try not to be helpful because it's their own event, it's their adventure to find out how to do it.
It's
so
a great
that's
adventure too
that's
for
the
the whole
best way
family.
I have found to sell my puzzles is to have them on display where people can touch them, experience them, see them. They can even choose colors. Sometimes I have different choices of colors.
These are beautiful designs, beautiful works of art that incorporate mathematics with design all together and have that little edge of creativity too for the purchaser to bring into their home, display it as is, change it around, bring it back and forth. It's always something different in the same beautiful form as you found it. Kate, anything else for us before we need to move on today?
Come and see me. I will show you what I have.
It'll be a fun time for you. It'll be a little bit of a brain teaser too. Maybe start off with Kate. As you get around there, you'll have your brain opened up to all the other creativity you'll experience throughout the day. Start and finish with Kate's booth and then go to everything else. You get that fulfilled experience at the West Bloomfield Fine Art Show. Kate Jones, thank you so much for joining us today on The Splash Live.
Thanks for having me.
Glad to have you on, as well as so many other artists from the Orchard Lake Fine Art Show and the West Bloomfield Fine Art Show. We'll talk to you in the months ahead. Hotworks.org is the place to go for more information on the art show. And again, mark your calendars now and come on out to West Bloomfield High School from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Saturday, June 20th, and 10 to 5 on Sunday, June 21st as well. We just experienced graduation from West Bloomfield High School, Oakland Early College, and other entities right here in Greater West Bloomfield. For those a little bit older, their college graduation maybe in the past weeks before that, and now our kids are coming home to a brand new experience. They've just graduated college. They're looking for a job. Some have found that job and they're just starting off this week. Others are still, as we get into June, looking for that first position out of college as they start their adulting experience. It's a daunting task. There's a lot that goes into it, and there can be a lot of challenges along the way. Carrie Krawick from the Birmingham Maple Clinic joined us recently right here on the Splash Live to help us dive into some of those challenges and help your kids after their college graduation transition into their independent adulthood. Carrie, thanks for coming on the show.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Happy to have you on to talk about this. It's an important topic. It's something that always needs to be addressed for our kids as they come home from college each and every year. And as our world continues to vary year in and year out, there's different stressors impacting these different graduating classes of kids. This year, so many coming into play. But let's just start with the basics. As kids are graduating college in the weeks ahead and are coming home after graduating, or maybe looking for that first job and haven't found it yet, what are some of the common issues that we see kids in this transition having as they emerge into adulthood?
Sure. Well, these kids had their whole life the comparison culture, the social media comparison culture. So one of the things they're always contending with is looking at what they see as everybody else's highlight reel and then comparing where they're at with where they imagine they're supposed to be. And like I said, these kids have really been plagued with this their whole educational career, but it's still at play now.
And so much of the support system that helps them cope with this comes from parents. But the problem with that is our parents, when they graduated school or when they were entering the job market or the last time they were looking for and applying for jobs, they were in a very different world under very different circumstances than these kids. So for parents at home that are that first line of support and defense for kids in this stressful environment, what's your advice for them on helping their kids navigate the current job market, albeit with their knowledge of what may be a past job market?
Well, I think for both the kids, the adult kids, and their parents, it's of course setting reasonable expectations and also being open and honest about what your fears are, what you're doing, or what you're seeing and what you're looking at. I think probably a generation before, not the people who are parents of teens now, but even a generation before that, even if you got a degree in a certain discipline that might not necessarily be the discipline you work. Kids right now feel this pressure, if I got a degree in engineering, then I therefore must be an engineer, as if that's my identity. But that's not really true. Like, if you can consider the stuff you learned as amazing tools and the programs you went through just to create discipline and add to your education, any job you could actually go to and say, like, I'm capable and qualified, and not limit yourself to just one certain identity just because that's what your major was in and that's what you think you're supposed to end up.
And just across the board, managing stress is so much a careful balance of mentally processing real and present threats and perceived threats. And when it comes to something new, like entering the job market, looking for full-time work, especially after you're no longer in school and kind of have that be your primary driving force, what elements necessarily are there, those real threats that are out there, or what is really perceived as threats in this current job market are particularly affecting the mental health of our college-age kids that are graduating and now looking for those first jobs?
Sure. I think both for people who are new in the job market, but also people who have been in it for a long time, it's really doing a cost benefit analysis of what do you stand to gain, what do you stand to lose, and what are your realistic expectations. Like you said, there can be a lot of stress added when you feel like you're deserving of so much, or you feel like this is what other people get, or this is what you're supposed to get, or what you were somehow promised and what you're being offered. But if you can just look at it in a little more reasonable way, like what do I gain? You might gain a little bit of experience. You might gain an opportunity to do two things at a time or something and kind of dabble in a couple things. So like look at the gains versus the losses and be able to weigh those is definitely going to be more helpful than getting laser focused on some rigid expectation.
What do you find are the most effective and practical strategies for people to approach this job market nowadays with all the different factors that play into it while protecting their mental health while they go through what can often be a long process?
Yeah, I think exactly that is like always, I've been on with you many times before, and I always say like happiness equals reality minus expectation. So look at the reality and adjust the reality to, not just what you're seeing on other people's social media, but the real reality. And yeah, plan to take time, plan to maybe take something less than what you thought you were going to get, or maybe take a couple things and get started and just use it as an extended opportunity to learn and grow and not get so rigid. I think what we see, like, especially like I said, with social media and comparison culture, is that we look at like, you know, 20-year-old billionaires and we say, oh my God, this is what we're supposed to be doing. But that's not really the reality. The reality is there is a bit of a struggle. There is a bit of learn and an opportunity to just like grow and exercise. And yeah, you're not going to make it on the first day.
There's so much variety too in that job hunt. You mentioned reality minus expectations. What strategies should individuals apply knowing their specific career path, knowing the intricacies of what may go into getting a career that they're aiming for and the direction they're aiming for, to set those realistic expectations? Because the reality is we all want to reach for the stars, especially when we're coming out of college and we have that sudden burst of motivation, but sometimes that doesn't align with the reality in front of us.
Sure. So I think it's like definitely like we said, it's like modifying your own expectations. I mean, but balancing them. So I think we have like a culture that's one part entitled and one part easily disappointed, and it's like right that really the best place for you is going to be somewhere in the middle, and that even a dream job is going to be imperfect in some kind of ways. And so to like just know, like I always like say that there's like a balance or just like a grand neutrality to things. Like everything good also comes with something bad. So like you might get a dream job, but you might also work 80 hours a week, or you might not get a dream job, but maybe you'll get the flexibility to try some other things. And so often the good with the bad comes, and it's very balanced. And just to be able to find that balance and recognize that nothing is going to be all good or all bad.
Carrie Krawick is with us from the Birmingham Maple Clinic, a licensed marriage and family therapist, joining us on the show as we talk about entering the job market for our college-age kids who are graduating either this week, next week, or in the weeks ahead and are looking for the first job after they complete their schooling. More information and contact info for the Birmingham Maple Clinic is available on their website, birminghammaple.com. Carrie, as kids are managing, looking for these jobs, trying to apply, getting interviews, getting rejections and acceptances, what are some of those early signs they should be looking out for as they're internalizing their feelings and they're thinking about their mental health, that may be signs that this is taking an extra toll on them and they need to take some steps back?
So we would definitely expect, if it's hard in the beginning, any transition we expect to be hard, it should feel a little hard. So if you have some sleepless nights, if you have some anxiety, if you have some panic, or if you have some kind of like even depression or avoidance, like we would expect some of that. So what we always look for is sort of like how long and strong does it last? So initially there might be a period of time where there's those experiences, but what we'd like to see is them dissipate over time. And if they continue on and on and on and on, even after some time has passed, then that's certainly like a cause for pause and an opportunity to get into some therapy, or maybe even an opportunity for a parent to raise some concern and see if they can be helpful.
And the reality of this situation that's so much different than many other areas in life is so much of the result you get in the job search is surrounded by rejection. So what's your advice for these individuals as they experience, in some cases, a lot of rejection in the job search, to maintain motivation and a positive outlook for the future when things can kind of look a little bleak when you get no after no after no?
Sure. So certainly, I mean, I think back to that reality minus expectations, anticipate some rejection, but look at it with a positive attitude. I love the acronym for FAIL, first attempt in learning. So like at any point you get a rejection, you probably learned something along the way. So like think about it as honing your skill, honing your craft. Even the craft of interviewing, that at each interview and at each cover letter or each time you send your resume out, you should have learned something. And each one of those steps will be something that takes you on to the next level.
And lastly, Carrie, when should an individual consider seeking professional help as they're going through this transition, going through this major search that hopefully doesn't happen too often in life, but is so important? When should they seek that professional help to help guide them along if this is becoming too much?
Sure. So I think, like we said before, is really how long and strong the feelings last. I mean, always, if you're feeling so hopeless and helpless that you're feeling suicidal or that life is pointless or something, I mean, that would definitely be a concern. And to reach out to someone to get help, to call 911, go to an emergency room. But if you are feeling like avoidant, panicked, kind of just stuck in a place where you can't even make the next step, certainly having someone who can help, like help you structure your time, help you just create some daily routines, those things would always be so beneficial. If you're avoiding like your social interactions, avoiding peers, I mean, that would be another sign that like things are in a bad place. And certainly a therapist could be helpful in overcoming those obstacles. So we want to have, like, of course you're joining the work world, but you want to have a balance between your work life, your just like your health, your sleep, your eating, your, physical activity, and then also your social life. So all of those should be fairly balanced.
Balancing the necessities of life that you need, a job, bringing in money to pay your bills, find a place to live, all that, a big transition. And then what's often information overload as you're going through, in some cases, a very rigorous job search. Great advice, Carrie. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Good things to think about as our kids come home from college this time of year, are looking for their jobs, or are starting those first work experiences full time as they exit college life and move into full-fledged adulting like the rest of us each and every day. That's our show. I want to remind you that television that's close to home is always online on civiccentertv.com and across our social media, including even more activity on our new X and TikTok pages at Civic Center TV. Big thank you to our entire crew making the magic happen behind the scenes today in studio and out in the community. And here's to you as well for being part of today's adventure along with us. For our entire team, I'm Tyler Kieft. Live, local, social, this is The Splash Live on Civic Center TV.